Hey, what's up YouTube? Make a short video doing one of the water changes on my tank. Recently this tank did get a few more fish, so the bio load might be too much for what's in there, and or we might be dealing with an algae bloom. I'm not really sure. But in situations like this, what I'll typically do is I'll do a water change, bring the water levels down to, roughly 50%, and then refill it with water treated with brine. And then if we need to, we'll treat it with some algae remover. I don't think we'll. So let's get that started right now. Let's grab our bucket with our pump and start evacuating water out of the tank. So in this bucket, I keep a 260 gallon per hour pump from Harbor Freight attached to just a garden hose I picked up from Walmart, and I did cut it to length because too much hose is a nightmare to deal with. All I'm going to do is stick this into my tank, and I'm going to let it drain out till, like I said, probably about 50%. You always want to turn off your heaters when you're draining out your water. The heaters require that sleeve to be underwater for them to function properly, otherwise they'll overheat the glass and potentially pop or explode in your tank, which is always fun, but not today's project. So first things first, we're going to take off the lid, let it drip a little bit back into the tank. Don't really need any light, so just going to set this guy over here. Then I'm also going to turn off each one of the pumps, so we can do that after we start pumping out water. It doesn't really matter. I know they say not to run the pumps dry, but I do it all the time. Good or bad, I don't know. It is what it is. If I have to buy a new one because I'm an idiot, it wouldn't be the first time. So all we're going to do is set the majority of this hose out back in the backyard to water the grass. And let this guy drop down. Sit about right there. And we're just going to start pumping out water. Let it drain. Now it's pumping. So give that a few minutes, and we need to figure out where in my chaos of cords I have plugged in these two filters, because I have not. So let's see if we can chase down the cords to these two guys real quick. And one of them definitely have running over there. One pump off, and the other cord I don't really know which one is that. Alright, there's the other one. Word for the wise: if you have a bunch of tanks and a bunch of stuff plugged in, organize that crap, because it's a nightmare looking behind my tanks. Haha, luckily you guys can't see behind my tanks. Unfortunately I can't. Need to do some cable management, that's all I'm saying. So yeah, now that that's going to drain back, and we actually might take it a little bit lower than 50%. Because it does seem pretty bad. Step two, now that that's draining, I'm going to reach down here and grab my other hose. And this hose is leaking water, of course it is. I always keep an extra bucket around because everything leaks water. It's awesome. But this has a fitting, and there's a mating part that I put on the sink that allows me to fill up from the tap water at the sink. And yes, again, it is strongly recommended not to do your prime in the tank. But there's no way I'm carrying around 40 gallons worth of water and I don't have a tote to pre-mix it, so we're mixing it in the tank. Haven't had an issue with it yet, but like I said, right or wrong, that's how I do it. And I haven't lost a fish yet, but doesn't mean I won't. So don't do what I do, because I'm an idiot. While that's getting ready to go, I'm going to run into the bathroom and get hooked up to the sink. All right, now looks like the tank has pretty much drained. You can hear the pump going off now. So let's go ahead and remove that pump, and then we'll get this one that's now connected and ready to shoot some water into the tank and fill it back up. Again, necessary. I use these so I can put this in the bucket until I'm ready to use it. And if it happens to leak, at least it'll leak in the bucket, not like when I pulled it out of the tote. So, another thing too is be careful when you're pumping your water. If you're a beginner, you don't usually pump water, you're not familiar with pumps. As soon as you create suction and that first bit of water gets out the end of that hose, you've created a vacuum. So the siphon is complete, and if you unplug your pump incidentally or whatever, thinking that it's going to stop pumping, that siphon's going to go until it sucks air. So until it sucks air, which, you know, obviously it pumped itself down to where it sucked air, but if it hadn't and I unplugged it, it would continue to cycle and pump water out until I lifted it up out of the water and broke that siphon with some air. So keep that in mind. Another thing too is because of that reason, lift your pump up higher than your hose, obviously, to allow the water to drain out the end of the hose and not back into your house. This right here is a 30-gallon tank, so, you know, we probably took out 15, 16 gallons, maybe a little bit more, 18 gallons. And that goes in the same exact pump bucket where I put my other hose. So this one, now get it, rolled up somewhat, so it fits back into the bucket. We have one solid little drain bucket good to go. And now we're done with this. We can put it away. Shrimp all over the court. Sorry, my fish room is kind of a mess. Alright, come on camera, keep up. I don't have a real cameraman. I'm using the Osmo 7P from DJI. Really great gimbal, I guess is what it's called. But yeah, it works great because my wife is terrible at filming anything. So I had to get something to help out. My kids don't want to do anything with Dad unless it's fishing or expensive, so they're not hanging out. Now all we're going to do is we're going to fill up this guy with water, then we'll reprime our filter. So let me finish filling the mid-water change. My wife brings me some freaking sausage and tortellini. Stuffed tortellini with Alfredo sauce and Italian spicy sausage. If you've never tried it, this is freaking delicious. Alright, back. Alright, so we're almost to the minimum fill line. And as soon as we get to the minimum fill line, I like to turn the pumps back on, see if they'll prime themselves. They usually don't, I gotta help them out, but sometimes they do. Let's give that a shot real quick. Get those plugs back in. Again, assuming I can find it. Alright, here's one. And here's two. Now on these top fin filters, I've noticed right in here on the intake can get clogged up a little bit. If you pull off this cap, this whole unit will lift up and out. You can clean it out real quick whenever you swap out filters. Helps out quite a bit. I do recommend though going to a live media filter. It's just less expensive, it's easier maintenance, and I found it does a lot better with the fish rather than something like this, you know, something like these guys, which this is like the cheapest option I could find other than a DIY project where you build it yourself. But you know, for $30 on sale on Temu, and you can give them even cheaper than that sometimes, I think that's the route to go. Well, this guy's almost filled up, so let me wrap this up, put the light back on. I did add some prime off camera, so it is being treated while it's being put in there. Yeah, let me get the light and the lid and everything put back together, then we'll take a look at it, see if we need to add some algae remover. And alright guys, as you can see, the water's semi-clear. Not great. I did stir up a bunch of stuff while I was cleaning in there. So let's go ahead and add some Seacombs Clear, and we'll see what it looks like tomorrow. But I wanted to show you guys, it's probably going to happen on this tank in particular because there's a lot of stuff in there. But the whole point of Seacombs Clear is to get all those particulates to clump together so that way the filter can capture them. And oftentimes when I add Seacombs Clear, you'll see the whole tank just like Halloween go cloudy. So let's give that a try and see what we can do with that. So, yeah, it's one capful for every 20 gallons or so. This being a 30-gallon tank and me doing a water change with only, you know, roughly 60% of the water being removed, we're gonna do one capful. Give it a second. I don't know if you can catch that on film. Oh yeah. See how it's all turning cloudy? Oh, right there. And all that's doing is allowing that bacteria to clump together. So now it's becoming more visible. That's why it looks like it's a cloud. But it does help a lot. It keeps the tank extremely clear. If you're not familiar with Seacombs Clear or anti-chemical, you know what I mean? Grow some plants, or there's a lot of different options for maintaining your tank in a healthy way. So yeah, that concludes the water change on this tank. Hope you guys liked it. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you later.